Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk to you about whether or not age and how long someone has been suffering from a behavioral health issue affects the recovery process. And so here's where this sort of came from. I try to get to the gym 4 times a week. I try to watch what I eat. But at 58, I have to be a little bit more careful about my recovery and what I eat and getting more sleep and all of these things. I was watching a video by one of these fitness guys that I follow, and he was saying, when you're in your 20s, it's much easier to work out 5-6 days a week. You can be a little less careful about what you eat, and your body recovers quicker. He said, but if you've obviously started to exercise in your 20s, the time you get to 40, if you've continued to work out and exercise and be careful about what you eat and all these other fun things, he says 40 becomes easy. He said, but if you don't start exercising until you're 40, he's like, it's much harder. Your body doesn't recover as quick. You can't work out as hard. You have to be a bit more careful about what you eat. And he says, obviously somebody who goes from 40 to 60 is not going to be in the shape from somebody that, like somebody who went from 20 to 60. It just doesn't happen. And I thought to myself, I wonder if this is the same in the recovery process. And I've noticed that when we put somebody into treatment and say they're in their 20s or even 30s, as opposed to somebody who's in their 50s and 60s, it becomes, I think the recovery process is a little easier. I think that getting them into treatment and them responding to the most, obviously it has to be clinically appropriate, and meds, if needed, have to be right. But I've noticed that the older someone gets, the further down the proverbial rabbit hole they go, the harder it is to not only get them into recovery, but keep them in recovery. Now, this is just my observation. I would welcome any input you have, any clinicians who have some input on this, but I'm just telling you what I see. I think it's a little bit like fitness, right? If you start early enough, it's easy to maintain it. If you start late in life, it becomes harder not only get into shape, but stay in shape. And I think it's the same with recovery, right? If you start with the recovery process early, it becomes easier to develop the skill set and the habits you need to maintain recovery. If you start recovery later in life, right? If you're a family that comes to us and you have somebody that has been suffering for 15, 20 years, and you're just now deciding to do something about it, I think it's harder to get them into recovery. I think they're further down the proverbial rabbit hole. I think it's harder for them to develop the skills they need to maintain lifelong recovery. Now, this is my observation. This is what I see in the office. And I'd welcome your input. Just a little off topic today, but it just really resonated with me when I saw this fitness video. So if you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. I always appreciate comments and input and questions. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, I'd be grateful for that too. So thanks for tuning in. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.